for Tiger Talk on the Tiger Sports Network. Tiger Talk, live from Tiger Club inside the Robins Center on the Fort Hays State Campus, is brought to you by these premier Tiger sponsors. Golden Belt Bank of Hayes and Ellis, banking one story at a time. The Hayes Med Orthopedic Institute, expertise, technology, compassion, all right here. Adams Brown, strategic allies and CPAs, going above and beyond for you. BTI, your John Deere dealer, with locations in Buckland, Great Bend, Greensburg, Hoxie, Ness City, and Pratt. BTI, our family in partnership with your family. The Taco Shop, dine in, carry out, or delivery. Since 1970, you've never had it so good. And Eagle, our community connected. Tiger Talk with the voice of the Tigers, Gerard Wellbrock.
And a good afternoon. Welcome into another edition of Tiger Talk. This is Gerard Wellbrock. We've got a big show planned for you today. A lot to cover. It's National Signing Day, so we'll have head football coach Chris Brown on a little bit later on in the program talking about the Tigers 2024 signing class. We'll also talk some basketball with men's coach Mark Johnson, women's coach Talia Cars, and we'll get a wrestling preview. Tigers at home. Been a while, but they're going to be at home on Friday against Nebraska Kearney. We'll get a preview from Coach Eric Wentz here in just a little bit. Again, we'll remind you, you can join us by joining Tiger Club. Contact the Fort Hays State Athletics Office. Your $100 go to scholarships at Fort Hays State University, and you can join us here in person on Wednesdays. If you have a question, we'd love to hear from you. You can hop online, the Fort Hays State Athletics website, fhsuathletics.com. Click on the Fans tab. You'll get that drop down. You'll see Ask the Coach, submit your question. And if we use it, you'll have a chance to get a T-shirt from the Fort Hays State Athletic Department. Haven't had any emailed questions yet, so if you want to chime in with one, go ahead and send it our way. All right, let's just jump right into it. A lot to cover here today on this Wednesday. We're going to start off with some wrestling. Tigers back at home for the first time in a while. Friday evening, number 7 Nebraska Kearney comes to town, joined by Coach Eric Wentz. As I said, it's been a while since you guys have wrestled at home. They got to be pretty excited, I would think.
Yeah, we haven't had any dual meets at home. We did our black and gold here in November or maybe late October, but since Bob Smith, we've been on the road, so we're pretty excited to bring Kearney into the house this weekend. How
did it go with practice? I know we talked with you last week about how you work your workouts in this time of the year. How'd it go for everybody?
Everybody's looking good. Everybody's healthy, and so we're just now kind of tapering down, making sure weights are where they need to be, clean, crisp drill sessions, and working on a couple specifics individually with guys on some tendencies that Kearney's got, and just really trying to get them mentally ready for Friday night.
And I would think when you get into dual season, your preparation in that regard. I mean, you go to a tournament, you're going to face a lot of guys on different styles. It's hard to hone in unless you have a pretty good idea. You're going to maybe meet someone down the road, but for duals, you know who you're wrestling going into it. Most cases, you could probably do a little bit more individual scouting and work on tendencies and things like that.
Yeah. So, we just kind of go through the weight classes and pick out, watch some film and see what they do as a team, what they do well, some mistakes they make as a team overall. So, that's kind of what we've been doing for this week and next week, is just kind of seeing what we might be able to take advantage of if they've got some habits that we can kind of expose and really find ways to get the ball rolling early in that dual meet on Friday.
Can you share some of those habits you try to expose, or is that top secret information?
Well, I don't think they listen to Tiger Talk, but they've got really heavy hands. They've got a pretty full Division I coaching staff up there, and so they hand fight like a Division I team, but we hand fight really well, and so it could be a very physical match for us on Friday, and I think if we can get on a roll early, I think things can snowball in our favor, so that's going to be huge for us.
Well, and you've shown some of your guys have done that recently, and hopefully that's something that can continue, because those last couple duels, they got you off to good starts.
Yep. Yeah. So those first 4 weights, and we got some tough matchups. I think overall they got 6 guys ranked in the top 15, a couple guys ranked in the top 10, and a couple of those guys are down low. But we've had, like I said, we've got some really good guys down low that are really stepping up. So, I think if they can get on a roll and then we can, take advantage of some key matchups. We like where we're at 125 with DeAndre. He's wrestling really well, and this guy's got some tendencies. Zach Arata is ranked 6th in the country right now, but he's got some tendencies, and his style kind of plays into DeAndre's style a little bit. So we're hoping for a big showing there.
Yeah, you kind of got what I was going to ask you next. What are some of the key matchups, the key weight divisions that could be pivotal? Not only do you have a chance to win it, but certainly ones for the fans that they want to make sure they're there in time to watch some of the key weight divisions.
Yeah, so 125 is a big one just because it always starts off the dual meet. And
you want to be there for the start of it.
Yeah, you want to be there for the start. But I'll tell you what, we got some exhibition matches beforehand, some extra matches that we got some really good shots at. So if we can kind of set it early with some matches that don't count towards the team score, but just kind of get on a roll with a couple wins in the prelims, that'd be great. But, ranked matchup at 25, with DeAndre wrestling the number 6 guy. 33, 2 unranked guys. Kevin Honus is going to have to come up big for us there because the unranked, where you wrestle a guy who's unranked, those are usually the swing matches. So, if we can pull off some wins and some of those weights where they don't have guys ranked in the top 15, that's going to be huge for us. Obviously, Cody Hicks at 165 is going to be big for us. He's got a returning national qualifier he's going to have to knock off. But that guy's had some close matches. He wrestled the same guy Cody wrestles from Central Missouri, but got beat worse than Cody did. So the matchup, stylistically, it's a little better matchup for Cody, I think. But if he wrestles the way he wrestled at Central Missouri and just can finish his takedowns, I think he can pull that one off. Obviously, 197 is a big one. They've got Jackson Kinsella, who beat Terrius earlier this year when Terrius was in his little bit of a slump, but the guy's wrestling really well. He knocked off a Grandview guy this past weekend, looked pretty good doing it. But we feel like he's ranked, I think, 7th or 8th. Terrius in the newest rankings came out last week at number 6, so he's right where he needs to be again. And so I think if he comes out and does what he's capable of doing, he can put bonus points on the board in that match. But I think those are the big ones, and then winning those key matchups with the unranked opponents and maybe. And this sounds terrible, but maybe pull an upset or minimize the damage against some of their top 5 guys. So they've got 3 or 4 guys ranked in the top 5 as well.
Well, and as you said, some of those you just don't get a major decision against. Don't give them bonus points because obviously that makes it a lot more challenging against a team that's ranked in the top 10.
Yep. So them coming in here is going to be a big test for us, and it'll be a good test as we get ready for UCO the next week. And but if we can just put on a good show, and I think it's going to be an exciting duel. At least I hope it's an exciting duel.
Well, second of 3 straight against nationally ranked opponents. You beat the first, Central Missouri, on the 28th of January. Now Kearney, and then, as you said, UCO the following week. But some good competition to get you set for regional. Should be a lot of fun. 7 o'clock Friday night. If you can't make it, it will be streamed on the MIAA network, so you can watch that. The link is on Fort Hays State Athletics website. Also follow on Track Wrestling. But certainly love to see out the Coliseum, make it a great atmosphere, and should be a lot of fun. It's Fort Hays State and Kearney. I mean, for nothing else, come out and watch that. It's a big rivalry. All right, Eric, we appreciate it. A little bit shorter time with us today, but we'll have more next week. Recap, hopefully talking about a big win over the 7th-ranked Lopers.
That's the plan.
There you go. Eric Wentz, head wrestling coach at Fort Hays State. Again, 7 o'clock Friday night. The Tigers at number 7, Nebraska Kearney out of Gross Memorial Coliseum. Tiger Talk today brought to you by the Taco Shop. Whether you order by phone, use their handy app, dine in, carry out, or delivery, you've never had it so good. The Taco Shop, they've been a Hays tradition since 1970. We'll talk some women's basketball with Talia Cars next on the Tiger Sports Network, built by PwC. Top of the key, Hollenbeck. Olivia being hounded by Fultz. Dribbles right by her and hits the layup. Boy, Fultz was really pressuring her about 18 feet from the basket. Liv just did a little pump fake and took it all the way to the rim. Some of the action from last Thursday in St. Joe. Tigers, tough week on the road as they fall to both Missouri Western and Northwest Missouri State. Welcome back into a Tiger Talk. We'll be talking women's basketball here in a second with Coach Talia Kars. A reminder, Fort Hays State Athletics invites you to join Tiger fans with a plan. If you're going to be drinking, always designate a sober driver. We are joined by women's coach Talia Kars, and I guess a testament to your team. You had been the only team in the conference who had not lost back-to-back games until last weekend. A couple of tough losses on the road, but the fact is, balance as the MIAA is this year, you'd avoided it that long says quite a bit. But when it happened, still doesn't feel any better. It was a rough road trip for your gals.
Yeah, no, two losses on a road trip makes it for a very, very, very long road trip. And when you get 2 wins, it's a long road trip. So. The girls are bouncing back this week, which I'm really, really thankful for, and they're resilient and understanding that this is just part of being in the MIAA, is that we're going to have games where it doesn't go our way, and we've got to push through and keep our heads up and go on to the next game. I thought we did a really good job on Thursday of getting in Western and make really tough shots, and we guarded them super well, and then I thought we really executed well on the other end and then, until late in the fourth quarter, and they just got some really easy buckets to finish the game. But I thought we did a good job of hanging in there, and just couldn't get the basket going late.
Yeah, for 3 quarters, the Western game was, I mean, you guys were playing really, really well on the road, tough environment, and as you said, probably the way it all went down, losing the way you did on Thursday made that difficult. But that fourth quarter, they got a few open threes and hit it. It seemed like that kind of turned the momentum. You could never get it back until very, very late.
Yeah, I told them after the game that our bench, our 3 kids that aren't suited up at the end of the bench, in the first half, I was telling them the way they run an offense is that person that was closest to them on the floor, they had to yell at them every time and say, you got to get up and deny. And so every time in the first half, it was almost automatic that person got up and denied, but I hold those 3 to that because I think they did a great job of communicating on the bench and being involved, and I wish we could have stayed on that end the other way in the second half, because I thought that was a huge difference from first to second half. It was just those girls communicating with our kids on the floor, and that they did a great job, and I was really happy for them and proud of them for stepping up and doing that for us.
Well, obviously you let the lead get away, and it looked like it was over, and with a minute to go, you rallied from 8 down, had a chance to tie it, missed a free throw that would have tied it, and who knows what happens, and then you got to pretty decent look on the final possession. Credit to your team for, I mean, they could have, thrown in the towel. That thing was over, but still found a way to have a chance to win on the final possession of the game.
Yeah, we really did. And then on the defensive end, late in the game with the sidelines, there were certain people we wanted to foul, and we got the ball to the people that we wanted to foul. And so I thought that was huge too, that we understood where we needed the ball to go and guarded them in a way that they had to catch the ball, and then we got the foul, and they missed free throws crucially too. And so it put us in a really good position to win the game.
Shot from Katie, run us down that last possession. Did you get the look you kind of wanted to? It was fairly contested, but it was still a good look.
Yeah, no, I thought it was a great look, and actually going back and watching film, Megan was open for a 3 when Sid came off of that ball screen, which I wasn't anticipating, and so it's something that we can look at later. I think is something that we can maybe run for a couple different options, but I was looking for a 2, wasn't necessarily looking for a 3, and I thought it was going to give Sid or Katie a great opportunity to score, and it did.
Yep, you'll take Katie getting that shot most nights as one of those games didn't go, and it was physical. I mean, I think. Your opinion on that? It just felt like Saturday it was a carryover, both physically, because it was a rough game against Western, and then obviously the way it went down, and then the emotional side. It just felt like your team was like a half step behind most of that game.
Yeah, no, we had a hard time, I think, bouncing back emotionally and physically. They called the game for Northwest very different from Thursday to Saturday for them, and so it was a huge advantage for them to be able to be physical with us on Saturday, and we just really struggled with it. They were doing a good job of jumping to the ball. We had to bump into them every time we were trying to make a cut. They were jumping in front of us, and so we were having to work really hard when the guards cut. And then the posts were doing a really good job of anticipating when we were trying to get the ball, and so our posts were constantly just battling with them too. And so we really struggled physically to push through that game and get what we wanted to. And honestly, going back and watching film of that, in the first half defensively again, we were in their face about every shot, and they went in. And so that's also deflating, is that you feel like you're playing really good defense and they're still making shots. And so I thought defensively we did good in the first half, and then we just kept seeing their shots going, and then that I think got more deflating too.
Yeah, talking to some of their people there, they thought that was one of the better games they had played all year, and their problem's been kind of they'll play like that or close to that, and then they have 3 or 4 they just don't. And so unfortunately, it's sometimes not always who you play, it's when you play them. You caught them on the wrong night, and that happens. So I guess now, and you kind of touched on it, you got to put that past you. Still a lot of basketball to play. You have 5 of your final 7 at home, but these are all big games now. You start looking big picture, conference championship, seeding, NCAA. You're going to have to get on a little bit of a run right now, it looks like.
Yeah, for sure. It's tight race, and luckily we get to play a lot of those teams that are above us or right with us again. So it's kind of really in our court as far as being able to beat those to get into maybe a second or third position. And so it's nice that it's in our hands. It's not out of our hands, and we have the opportunity to continue and still do a really good job and finish pretty high in the MIAA.
It sounds crazy. You've lost 2 in a row for the first time. Now you have Newman coming in town. They've obviously struggled mightily this year. Might be the right team at the right time, or do you worry about your team maybe kind of, and you played really well and beat them handily at their place, maybe overlook them and not put enough focus on them as you need to?
No, I'm hoping we come in and we're ready to just really compete and really battle. And Newman, if they get on a night where they're hot, they're scary. And I think the win they got against Emporia, it was that happened. Mm-hmm. And they're getting shots for kids that need to get shots. They're just not making shots, and so we've got to continue just to defend them really well and hope that they don't make the shots that they've been missing. And then on the offensive end, just really execute and get really good shots.
And then real quick, UCO Saturday afternoon, a team that they seem to have a lot of the good parts. They just haven't been able to put it together, but kind of that same boat, a scary team. They've played some good teams close and seem to be playing maybe a little bit better, but one of those, they've got a lot of talent, and they forced you into a lot of turnovers the first time you played them. You still got the win there, but certainly have that capability.
Yeah, they do. Southern and them, it was 30 turnovers, 25 turnovers last week. So they really do get up and defend really hard, and they're really deep. So they'll play 8 to 10, and they kind of don't really drop off those 8 to 10. And so they do have a lot of talent, and it's whether or not they can just kind of get it all together and do it well.
Well, hopefully it's a good bounce back. It'll be nice to be at home. And as you said, 5 of the last 7 at home. Got to take care of business, but it'll be nice to finish this last part of the month out at home. And hopefully your team can get on that run. And who knows? I mean, Missouri Southern's got to cool off sometime. I mean, they've been on an incredible run right now. And they get a loss or 2, and you can get on a bit of a run. You'll be right back in this thing. Yeah,
and they have a similar finish to the schedule as us, as they've got to play some tough teams. And so it's going to be interesting to see who ends up on top.
All right, sounds good. Talia, we appreciate it. Have a good day of practice today, and we'll see you tomorrow night at the Gross Memorial Coliseum.
Thanks, Gerard.
There you go, Talia Cars, head coach of the Fort Hays State women. 7 o'clock or 5:30 tomorrow night for the ladies. They'll take on Newman, and then a 7:30 start for the men. And we'll talk with Mark Johnson a little bit later in the program. Tiger Talk brought to you today by BTI. They're your John Deere dealer. Locations in Buckland, Great Bend, Greensburg, Hoxie, Ness City, and Pratt. BTI, our family in partnership with your family. We're going to take a break. When we're going to come back, we're going to talk some football. Signing day today. Head coach Chris Brown joins us after the break here on the Tiger Sports Network, built by PwC.
The Golden Q is the place for football and food. Friday night, when your team is out of town, stop in for your favorite burger and watch the game. Want to enjoy the game from home, but still eat the Golden Q's tasty food? Use their app to place an order to go, or use DoorDash. Then when it's time to blow off some steam, head to the Fort, duck pin, bowling, axe throwing, VR, and check out their huge outdoor patio. Book a party room for your group or host a large gathering at the Fort. The Golden Q and the Fort in Hays.
Galladay, top of the key to Wagner. She'll shoot a 3, and she swishes it. Katie Wagner, who had cooled off a little bit, 0 for her last 7 from beyond the arc, buries that one. And it's 18-8. Fort Hays State up by 10. Yeah, some of the action from last week with the Fort Hays State women. We'll be talking men's basketball here in just a little bit, but first some football with Coach Chris Brown on National Signing Day. But before we get to Coach, it's the bottom of the hour. We need to pause 10 seconds for station identification. You're listening to Tiger Talk on the Tiger Sports Network.
With a combination of Kaiser Liquor and Fort Hays State Athletics, you're sure to be into something good. Kaiser Liquor and 14 KEYS Hays.
And welcome back to a Tiger Talk. It is the first Wednesday in February. That's always a big day because that is signing day. And we're joined now by head football coach Chris Brown. Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us. Always an exciting test, kind of like Christmas in a way. You've done a lot of hard work, a lot of hoping, maybe a little praying. I don't know, but now you get those letters of intent coming in. Always a big day.
It is. It's a huge day for us, and it's busy. We've been busy since end of December, November, trying to recruit these kids and get them to come to Fort Hays State University. And I just want to thank my coaches for all they did. I mean, they worked their tails off, this recruiting season, and they're still working on trying to get some more kids as well. But no, it's a good class. I'm excited about this class. Got some big kids, on both sides of the ball. Got some height in the secondary, and that wide receiver as well. And we see even at the O-line, D-line, we got some big kids there. We're still waiting on a few, so hopefully those come through here in the next hour or so. But it's a really good class.
Yeah, 34 total, 29 high school, 5 transfers. Maybe just highlight the list a little bit. I know it's with so many, hard to go over everybody. Maybe approach. I mean, when you go out and recruit, are you looking position specific? Are you looking for just players? Maybe a combination of both. How do you go about this in this part of the signing period?
You just kind of look at your class. Like what did we lose last year? With the 5 seniors that we did have, and then kind of like the seniors getting ready to come up. Who are we going to lose in that class as well? And then sometimes there's just a kid that's out there who's a really, really good athlete, and you want to get him on your team. So it really kind of just starts off with, position-specific stuff and who we need and what we need to sign for future years. And that's kind of what we did here. But O-line, D-lineman, those are guys you need every single year because it's just, it's down the trenches and with injuries and things like that. And you got to have a bunch of those guys. So, you try to sign as many O-line, D-line guys as you can. But it was, just going out and finding guys that we needed and guys that really fit Fort Hays State and fit us as a program.
Yeah, 6 O-linemen, 6 defensive linemen, 4 linebackers, 6 defensive backs, 3 tight ends, 6 receivers, a running back, and a couple of quarterbacks. Maybe just, who stands out, highlight on the group you've signed.
I mean, just the area kids, especially. Right. I think Malik Ball is going to be a really good tailback for us. I mean, he got a lot of carries at Hays High, and he won't get that many carries here in a game, but I think that'll help him out quite a bit. And then Mason Hogan, kid just down the road in Plainville, big kid. He could play offense or defense, and I think he prefers offense right now. And Caden Hoffman from Hoisington, just kind of area kids that I'm kind of naming off that people will know. Mm-hmm. Strong kid. Physical kid, could play O-line, D-line too. We're going to start him off at the defensive line, and then the Titchener kid out of Holcomb. I mean, he's big, strong, powerful kid that I think can do a lot of things for us. And and then to get Blanca back from K-State, that's a big get for us too at that linebacker position. So area kids that everybody here probably knows, but it's glad to get those kids, to come to Fort Hays and not go off somewhere else.
He was a kid you recruited, didn't you, originally?
Yeah, we did, and he just ended up walking on at K-State, and things just didn't kind of work out the way he wanted it there, and we always leave in good terms because we want those kids to come back if it's not what they expected. 6
wide receivers. Look, you kind of got that Florida connection going again with some of those guys, and good frames, good tall players, and that was a position I think saw marked improvement last season. One of the reasons you had the turnaround was the improved play in the receiving corps. It looks like you've been able to add to that for next season.
Yeah, and you're looking into next year. We're going to lose a couple guys, so you got to kind of make sure you add to that class as well, and then add a few more. And then we kind of divvy up monies by positions as well, and we had a little bit more money in that position to give out to some of these kids, and I think they'll help out. I mean, they're a good size. One's a little bit smaller, but he is shifty as can be and can run really well, and kind of reminds me of Watts a little bit.
Okay.
But he's a tough kid. But yeah, we got that connection. Coach McRae has that connection out there in Florida, and there's some really, really talented kids out there, and now they just need to come in here and perform.
A couple quarterbacks, and that seems like another position. I know you've got a pretty deep quarterback room right now, but another one, you always like to be grooming the next guy, and you never know, injuries and all that, when you need that next guy, but added a couple to that list for this season.
Yeah, we did, and we always try to sign 1 or 2 quarterbacks every year just because you want competition at those positions, and these 2 young men that we have on this list here, I think are very talented young men. I know they're going to come in and compete and battle for that starting spot, and we still got 2 pretty good ones, mm-hmm. 2 good ones right now, but we expect those guys to come in and compete and try to beat those guys out. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But hopefully they're getting better and learning from those guys, so when their time is ready to come, they're ready.
You mentioned size in the secondary with some of those guys you brought in. I know we talked with Coach Johnson a lot about the MIAA in basketball, how much bigger, and it's not, maybe not the point guard, not the center, but the 2, 3, 4 positions have all just gotten bigger. Seems like in Division II, the back end of the defense has kind of been that case. I mean, you could be 5'9", 5'10", and still successful now. 6'1", 6'2", 6 feet. I mean, you almost have to be any more with some of the receivers that come into the conference. It looks like you've been able to do that a little bit.
Yeah, I told our coaches if they're my height as DB, don't bring them in, right? And because I'm not the tallest guy in the world, but we wanted some height and we wanted some length, and we got that this year because the receivers are just getting bigger and bigger in this league as the years go on. So if you don't have those big guys in there, they just go up over them and catch the ball. So that was a big spot for us that we needed to get some guys because we're going to lose 3 or 4 guys next year at that position. So hopefully guys can come in and maybe we can get them into 3 games that they're allowed to play as freshmen, and hopefully they're ready for the next year. So I could see these guys probably being 3 or 4 year starters for us.
Some of these guys, I mean, it's a big freshman class, 29. Traditionally, you haven't played a lot of them. I know a lot goes into that. And the redshirt rule and the change, being allowed to play 3, certainly changes the landscape in freshman playing. But do you anticipate redshirting most of those guys, or do you try to get as many of them their 3 games if possible?
If you can get them to 3 games, you can, but it's always just kind of that. It's like a scary look because if you start to get into the playoffs and later in the season and with injuries and things like that, it's kind of scary because once they get to that 4th game, they're done. And that red shirt's over. So you try to, and you just got to be smart about it and make sure you pick the right games that you're going to play them in, and make sure you got games available in case we do get into the playoffs. So we'll try to get most of these kids in, and if they're ready, if they're not, then we won't. But some of it will just be special teams and things like that to help us out. With some depth in those areas, but we would like to plan, but most of them are going to redshirt.
How did it go this first year? Because this last season was the first season that was implemented in Division II, and I know it's kind of a feeling out process. Did it work out how you hoped it would work out? Yeah,
we played 3 or 4 kids. We didn't play a whole bunch of them, but most of them just practiced and that was it. But there were certain situations that we had to play some of these kids, and we did, and just make sure that we did it right. And when it got to they had that 3rd game up, it was kind of like, okay, they're not dressed anymore. They're not going to do anything. Just we got to make sure we keep that red shirt on because we didn't want to burn it. So it worked out for us. There's still some things that we can still play with probably a little bit better, but that's just some things you got to fill out as the seasons go on.
All right, let's talk a little bit about the season and I guess the team and how's the off season gone? And I know they're weightlifting and doing all those other things. How is that going for everybody who's returning? I'd imagine you saw a lot of good momentum coming off the season last year.
They're doing well. I mean, they really are. We just got a good group of kids that understand our culture, that are truly committed to one another. They're hardworking. They're doing everything we're asking them to do, and they're going above and beyond, doing things on their own, whether it's individual drills. They're doing some 7-on-7 stuff on their own, meetings on their own right now. They're kind of getting together and just running through plays, and it's good to see when you got a team. And if guys are missing, they're going out and getting those guys and making sure that they're at weights and they're at morning runs and those things. So it's a great group of kids. I mean, they handle all the problems, which is awesome as a coach because you don't have to handle, the big ones I get to handle with, but the small stuff, our players take care of those little things and get them taken care of, which is a sign of a good football team. So I'm proud of them. I know we're getting ready to amp things up here pretty quick since we're done with recruiting, and we'll see how many of them really enjoy football once we get to that point with morning runs and lifting and things like that.
A couple things, and we'll let you go. One, spring practice. When does that start? I'm sure you got your schedule already, and what's that going to look like for you guys this spring?
It'll start after spring break. The second week after spring break, we'll start that up. Go for 5 weeks, 3 practices a week. We'll practice on Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, meet on Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, and then then we have Easter weekend, which we'll give them off, Good Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, so they can be with their family, and then we'll get back to work. We'll have a couple of scrimmages, and we're not going to go out and scrimmage anybody else. I like to do that stuff in-house just because I can control the tempo a little bit more and control the kids on the field and what they're doing. But it's going to be 5 weeks. But from here until spring break, we'll be having morning runs and some individual drills and meetings and things like that and lifting. So this is the time that these kids really need to get in the weight room and get stronger.
You answered my question about the scrimmages now allowed in the spring, whether or not you're going to do that. The other thing, legislation, 0 week for Division II. It narrowly passed, which for those who don't understand 0 weeks, basically you can now play Day, the week before Labor Day, and then will afford you a chance to have a bye at some point during the regular season. So in a sense, gets you 12 weeks to play 11 games. I think that's a big deal for Division II because you got to go straight through 11, right in the playoffs if you're fortunate to make it. It's a lot of games, and to have a chance in there to play a non-con and then also to get a little break mid-season, I think is a pretty big deal.
It is. It's going to be huge for us, and we got our 0-week filled for this year, and we'll have our bye week 10. So we'll kind of announce that schedule as we get closer to the season. But we are going to play a good football team. I know that for sure, and I'm excited about that because it's somebody from that we had played, and it's exciting for your kids too. So, and then we have our MLAA meetings here on Tuesday as head coaches and with Mike Racy, the commissioner, and then kind of go through the schedule as well. So hopefully we can get a bye week later on in the season in 25-26 instead of just like play 0 week, play 1 week or week 1 and then week 2 you're off. So try to just move everything up. Maybe we have a bye week, like in November or something like that, so we can kind of heal up just a little bit after 5 or 6 games.
You can't share who to play in 0 week?
Not until the boss lets me say it. So
the boss just said say it.
We'll be playing Angelo State.
Angelo State.
We'll be playing.
All right,
8-3 last year, and
is that their playoff team a few years ago?
And they'll be here in 24, and they'll be here in 25.
All right, because it's like a 9.5-hour trip to San Angelo, Texas.
It is, and they got to make that trip 2 years in a row, so that's good.
All right, Coach, we appreciate it. Great job on signing day. I know it's always a big day, and as you always say, there's always a few stragglers you hope to fill. And do you leave? I'm guessing you leave a little money, scholarship money in reserve, just in case you find that guy in the season or summer or leading up till practice that could help you out.
Yeah, I usually use Coach Johnson's and the basketball scholarships available, and just kind of move those guys around and stuff. But no, we always try to save just a little bit, just in case there is, a transfer that's out there that's really talented, or we find a high school kid that's really talented as well. So we always try to leave a little bit behind just to make sure we're able to sign with some of those kids that are available.
All right, sounds good. Appreciate you stopping by here today. Always an exciting day for signing day, and it's kind of like, I've never been a big NFL draft guy or whatever, but it is exciting to see, and it's really fun to come back in about 2 or 3 years and look back at guys who, all right, they turned out to be something way better than you thought, and just how the whole class pans out. You've had pretty good success over the years, but it's always fun to kind of go back and look years down the road when you really see the effectiveness and how good this recruiting class is.
Yeah, and I hope it's a great class. Character's number one, and then student athlete, and then can they help us win conference championships? And then hopefully we're recruited like that with this group. I think we did, but their character's number one. If you got a good character, you'll be hardworking, you'll be committed, and do everything that we ask you to do. So we'll see. We'll find out in a couple of years what this class does, but I feel pretty good. I'm very, very happy with this class that we have right now.
Had pretty good run so far. Hopefully this one continues. Coach, appreciate it. Do you get up and do the early runs too, or do you just observe?
I go and I keep the clock.
Okay.
So sometimes it's 5-minute periods, sometimes it's 6. It just kind of depends on how hard I think they're working. So, but I am up there. All
right, very good.
And being very nice and supportive.
I'm sure you are.
That's kind of what I do.
All right, appreciate you stopping by.
Right, thanks, Gerard.
There you go. Head coach Chris Brown of the Fort Hays State Tigers. A little recruiting day update. Tiger Talk brought to you by Golden Belt Bank. Your life has a story. Golden Belt Bank wants to get to know that story. Golden Belt Bank of Hays and Ellis. Visit them at goldenbeltbank.com. We'll talk some basketball with Mark Johnson next. This is the Tiger Sports Network, built by PwC.
Ready to discover something new? The next time you're in your car, tune your radio to 94.3 FM.
It's here. It's Hays' greatest hits.
Love it.
On 1400 KAYS and 94.3 FM.
94.3 FM, KAYS. Go ahead, check us out.
Can't shoot the three. Flips it over to B. Pump fakes a three. Goes into the lane, and he lays it in. Bjarne Jansson knifing the defense. That is B's first bucket of the second half, and he's tied the game at 49.
Yeah, some of the action from Saturday and an instant classic. Unfortunately, the Tigers come up short at Northwest Missouri State. Welcome back to Tiger Talk. Gerard Wellbrock, joined by the head coach for Fort Hays State men's basketball, Mark Johnson. Remind you, the Tiger Talk brought to you in part today by the Hays Med Orthopedic Institute, the most comprehensive orthopedic care in Western Kansas. You can learn more at haysmed.com/orthopedics. some great games over the weekend. Great one Thursday, beat Missouri Western, and really, unfortunately, you lose, but just a great ball game, an instant classic with Northwest Missouri State. But God, you were right there. It was in your grasp to maybe come away with a road sweep, but still some good basketball. You get one of the two on a very challenging road trip for your guys.
Yeah, I thought we played hard. All weekend, and that was a big focus about we can't go on this road trip if not everybody that gets in the game isn't completely locked into everything they're doing from an effort standpoint, a physical standpoint, execution standpoint, and I thought we really did that for the most part. Everybody that got in the game was really, like I said, locked in and ready to go and gave their best. Missouri Western, for whatever reason, is just a really good matchup. We've held them to 40 points and 49 points, and you look at their other conference games, I think they're averaging 75, and that's factoring in the 2 games against us, so they're probably getting 77, 78 points against everybody else, and for whatever reason, we just get after them, and they have a hard time handling it. I thought for the first half they tried to stay with us from an effort and physical standpoint and all that, and then eventually our guys were just able to keep going and persevere, and they weren't. So really good game on Thursday, and then again, another thing about this weekend, battling some sickness. That's the kind of thing that's happening to everybody. It's probably going around everywhere. But we were definitely fighting some sickness this past weekend, and guys just, played through it and just fought through it. And then Saturday, obviously, heartbreaker. Guys did a great job of just hanging in there. We got some foul trouble. Caleb got his 3rd foul early in the first half, and we just kind of hung around and found a way to keep it at a 4-point game at halftime, and again continued to hang around. And I think we were down 49-43 with 4:47 to go, and our guys just turned it up on the defensive end. I think we held them to 2 points the remaining of the game to give ourselves, make a little push there to get it tied and a chance to win the game, and got a pretty good look, and it didn't go in. And then obviously in overtime, you want to have those last 21 seconds left. There's just so many things that occurs to either for you or against you that requires one team to win, and sometimes there's just things you can't control, and then there's things we can control, and we didn't kind of both happen to us. One or two things happened that we couldn't control, and then we could have controlled a couple of mistakes we made, and a lot of times, obviously we've talked about you got to make big shots late in games to win, but also I try to preach to our guys all the time, more games are lost than they are won. Guys you don't win a game by somebody being fantastic and making unbelievable plays. It happens sometimes, and you need that with maybe the last play of the game. When it's a tie game, you kind of need those things. But most times you end up, the team that lost the game by lack of execution, turnover, made a mistake, and we kind of fell into that and did a little bit of that. And like I said, it's a lot easier when you're standing watching in the comfort of the stands or your own home than when you're in the environment and it's loud and there's a lot going on and your mind's racing 1,000 miles an hour, and the heat of the moment some kind of takes over and you don't execute to the way you know how. And our guys, they knew it. I mean, it was obviously in the locker room there was a lot of disappointment for sure.
Well, and we talked about it right after the game, and I think I mentioned it coming right out of the break at the end. I mean, that was that loss affected your guys, just the emotion they showed leaving the court after the game that I can remember. Even last year to Central Oklahoma in the conference tournament, Northwest the year before in the conference tournament, some NCAA games. It just seemed like that hit harder than any other loss for a lot of reasons. I mean, it was Northwest on the road. You had it in grasp. How's your team bounce back this week? Because we talked about it afterwards. It's going to be probably the big challenge to mentally kind of get back in that right frame of mind.
Yeah, I mean, young people are young people. I mean, they're resilient. So a lot of times, your parent, your kid, your kid gets over things a lot quicker than you do sometimes, So, I mean, they'll be fine. I mean, they'll be ready to go, and that won't have any, I would be shocked if that has any effect. Doesn't mean we're going to necessarily win or anything, but I don't think if we would lose, that's going to have any effect. These guys aren't that type of guys. They'll come out ready to go, and obviously there's disappointment because this group is on their 3rd year trying to climb a mountain, and we just kind of keep stubbing our toe a little bit or not getting right to where where we want to be, and we still have 7 games left to get where we want to be. So I think they'll keep fighting.
No doubt about that. Good to see Beyonce Jansson have a really big game. 14 points, 7 boards, led you in both statistical categories. 4 steals, a lot of big steals late in that game to help you guys get back in. It had played 38 of the 45 or 50 minutes, I guess, in that one, but really played well for you guys. It was good to see him get some of that scoring load because with Caleb on the bench, someone else had to kind of step up, and he really did that first half especially.
Yeah, I thought he did good. He played well, and I thought Jaheim gave us some good minutes in there. And I tell you, a guy that's really played well since the Missouri Southern game is Elijah Nanabu. I think Elijah's averaging maybe 16 points a game since that game, and he's had a couple where he's done it, but he really does it like one half at a time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like the first half he's not really doing a whole lot, and then the second half he's really come through and had some big second halves for us, and that just gives us another guy you have to have. So yeah, when B can do that, and hopefully Elijah can continue to play at his level he has the last 3 weeks of the season. He can close the season out that way. Makes a big difference for us.
It's kind of funny. You look down, Caleb Hammock, he played 40 minutes on Saturday. It's the most rest he's gotten because of foul trouble. He only played like 10 minutes in the first half. He's been going about 40 in a regulation game. He probably would have gone all 50 if you needed him to, but that was probably the most rested he's been coming out of halftime for a while.
Yeah, like I've mentioned that a few times. It's such an overlooked part of our team that people take for granted and think everybody can do. I could never do that when I played. I get tired, Some of our guys, we do have a few that get tired, but like I said, Caleb, Elijah, B, those guys just they just don't get tired, and it's really there's not a whole lot of people that can do that, and that makes a difference. One, they get to stay out on the floor, but two, we don't break down. Like I said, as the game progresses, everybody starts hitting a little bit of a wall, and they get tired, and their effort has to drop slightly. And at our level, if your effort just drops this much, they go from not scoring to scoring. You know what I mean? It doesn't seem like a whole lot of difference, but it's a big difference. If you just let off just a touch, these guys are too skilled and they score and make shots, and that's why, like Missouri Western, our guys don't let up, so they never get an opportunity. And like I said, that's kind of an unappreciated thing that people don't understand. People automatically seeing, well, everybody can do that, just get in shape. It doesn't matter how good a shape you are. Most people get tired after a certain level of playing in basketball, 3 to 4 minutes, 5 minutes fatigue. You look at our Washburn game, we didn't get a stop, if you remember right. We didn't get a stop for a long time, and there was a lot of guys out there wilting, but we got a couple guys that can just keep going.
Well, it was a tough loss. Now the Tigers will try to bounce back. 5 of their final 7 at home. Newman starting on Thursday night will be in town. Then a big one with Central Oklahoma on Saturday. We'll get a preview of those when we come back with head coach Mark Johnson right here on Tiger Talk on the Tiger Sports Network, built by PwC.
That was another legend on 99 KZ Country. And yes, before that, we had a brand new artist. Your home for today's stars and the legends. We play real country. I'm Teresa Trapp. Weather, news, sports, it's all here. We're on Facebook, and there is a listen live link at hayespost.com. Dial us in on your radio at 99.5 FM. KHAZ, real country. 99 KZ Country.
10 of the shot clock. Nanabu out high to Jansson. Pass it in the corner to Hammocky. Caleb will attack down the rim. Flips it up. He got it to go around 2 Bearcats. Caleb Hammocky with 11.
Yeah, big bucket late for Fort Hays State. They fall in double overtime at Northwest Missouri State. Now back at home this weekend. Tomorrow night, the Newman Jets come to town. Saturday afternoon, Central Oklahoma. Real quick, Newman, they got you in overtime at their place. You've had 3 overtime losses. That was one of them. And again, they're not having a great year, but boy, they've got some good parts, and you catch them on the wrong night, can be tough.
Well, they got 2 things. They lead the league in 3-pointers made per game, and that's the thing about basketball. I mean, there's guys sometimes make shots on certain nights that they don't others, and you catch them on the wrong night. So they lead the league there, and Stevie Strong, their point guard, is a top 10 player in our league. If he played for a team that finished in the top 5, he'd be a first-team all-league guy. So they got talent there. And then Central Oklahoma, a little bit of hard luck here. They've just lost a lot of one-possession games of late. But, Jaden Wells, one of the best players in the league, so it'll be a big week for us.
That sounds good. It'll be good to be back at home. Coach, we appreciate it. We'll see you tomorrow night.
All right, thanks, Jordan.
There you go, Mark Johnson, coach of the Tigers. 5:30 and 7:30 for Newman. 2 and 4 o'clock Saturday for UCO. Need to remind you, Kansas Department of Transportation and the Drive to Zero Coalition inviting you to join Tiger fans with a plan. If you're going to be drinking, designate a sober driver. Tiger Talk brought to you by the Hayes Med Orthopedic Institute, Golden Belt Bank of Hayes and Ellis, BTI, and the Taco Shop. We'll see you again next Wednesday right here on the Tiger Sports Network.
Voice of the Tigers, Gerard Wellbrock, inviting you to join us for Tiger Talk Wednesday afternoons at 12:10 on KAYS. The show is part of the weekly Tiger Club meetings live from the Robbins Center on the Fort Hays State campus and brought to you by Golden Belt Bank of Hayes and Ellis, the Hayes Med Orthopedic Institute, the Taco Shop, and BTI, your area John Deere dealer. That's Tiger Talk, live from Tiger Club Wednesdays at 12:10 on 94.3 FM and 1400 AM KAYS.